Hey guys, it's Mel. So I wanted to do this video. I got an email and I thought it was really nice. It was from a very new crafter. So she sent me an email and she asked me a few questions on there. So I told her, for me, it's just easiest to do videos, and I do the same thing when I do like my destashing, like getting rid of my old Crafty goodies. It's just easier for me to film a video than to upload all the pictures, write a detail, type out the detail of all the pictures. So, and plus you get a visual. So for you, the viewer, to me, I think it's a little easier. So this video is for Tamika, but anybody else, who may be new, may pick up a few things. And those of my crafty friends who are very, advanced will say, you don't have to watch this video because it's probably things you already know, but it's always good to help someone out who's new. So welcome I think that's great, first of all, Tamika, that you want to get into crafting. You won't be disappointed. I love it. I've loved it since my daughter was born, my first daughter, and she's 9 now. So that's when I started. So I've been doing it for a while, and I've been delving into like card making, not just scrapbooking. I do like anything that floats my boat, anything that I want to try. I make banners, bridal shower favors for my little sister. I've made baby shower favors, birthday cards, sympathy cards, mini albums, scrapbook layouts. So, we can all learn from each other. So excuse my mess in the background. I have like a catastrophe going on here in my craft room. I'm lucky enough to have a room in my home that I can keep my mess, but I'm kind of going through things now and cleaning out and organizing. So, okay, so let's get started. So she said that it would be fine if I read her, and I think this will help, read her email, because it kind of explains what the questions that she had. So it says, "Good morning, Melissa. Your videos are very helpful. You appear to be so organized as well." That I am not. I mean, I try, but as you see, with my mess here, nobody's perfect. And I always make a mess. I clean up my craft room just to make a mess again. But that's part of the fun. I'm creating. So, but thank you, though. It says, "I am brand new to scrapbooking and crafting, so," she said, "so new that I am still buying supplies, books, etc. What sparked my interest is a friend of mine. She showed me some books of her children that blew me away. I would utilize her she said, I would utilize her more for help." My sister's texting me, "but she lives a distance from me, and I want to do this solo right now. My questions are," so 1, she says, "can you give me pointers on supply cases and storage containers? 2, is a Cricut necessary item? And 3, is the Cuttlebug better than the Cricut? And 4, is there a discount place for scrapbooking and supplies? Any information you'd like to share would be appreciated. I would love to rate books for my little one." So that I totally understand, and when it's personalized, you will love it. So let's go first things first. So your first question was, can you give me pointers on supply cases and storage containers? You don't need much to start out. You definitely don't need everything, like that you see I have. But this was, again, a build up over years. And the way I'm able to do it is I have like a little allowance I give myself, and this was purchased over years and years and years. And then I do my destashes. So when I get sick of an item, or I think I'm not going to use it again, I put it up for Crafty resale, so that it doesn't take up room and that somebody else can get to love it and be passed on that way. So my favorite Crafty storage containers would be, this is one of them, and it's going to be hard to show you because it's filled with goodies, and I'll tell you the reasons I like this one. And this is probably one of the cheaper ones. So this one here, I don't have the packaging because I've had these, but I know they still have them at Walmart. And in my Walmart, they're actually where the beading is, the beading section. They have a couple different varieties, but I like this one for a few reasons. One is that it has 32 compartments. I like the size of the compartments, I like the depth of the compartments, and I like that they're slightly rounded, so when you go to like fish in there and get like a piece out, it kind of scoops it up the side. So some of the ones, like the cheaper ones, I believe it's like a Nicole brand, they're fine. You see them all over at AC Moore, you get them for a couple bucks. They are just square, so if you're trying to get a tiny rhinestone out of there and you're trying to get it out, it doesn't always work so well. So that's one thing I like about this. So I don't know if you can see the curvature of these, from this angle, but that's one positive there. And then I like the way that this shuts. This one locks. I have other ones that if I were to lift it like this, all the contents from up here would slide into these ones up here. And you know, I have kids that are trying to get near it, and by the time I get it to them, they might already be damaged, or one of them spilled one time and I had to sit there like probably like for 2 months picking, and I'm still doing it. I'm looking at it right there, and it's like, you know, sort me. So I have these tiny rhinestones because there's so many little embellishments that you could use and add, you know, on the side of your photos or whatnot. So this one is at Walmart. I think it's about like $5 and some $5 and change. So for 32 compartments, and then it even has these little ones. And then if you get into like distress inks, you can these even fit in there. So you can have them all organized, and then they're slim. So like they're like that's the. So it doesn't take up that much room on your, you know, in your area, because you may, you know, if you're just starting out, you might not even have a designated area like I have this whole room. But if we keep having more kids, I might have to give up my room or move to the basement. So my husband said they'll share rooms before you're giving up your craft room, but I would give it up if they need to, because this is a really good size room, and this one's upstairs. So when the time comes, I may have to do that, or we'll switch rooms or something like that. So look, I have another one. So this would be my number one storage case. Then, you know, there's ones like this. Like I think I got this one, and I have tiny little rhinestones in it. But you see, like I bet you these would like spill down, so I don't want to lift it up too much. But I have a lot of like little ones like this because I have a lot of little embellishments. And then these ones are really cheap too. This is a photo case. You can get these at Michael's, probably AC Moore too. That's by Iris, and that's the same one I'd show you. So these ones are good for photos, or even like little, like I have little die cuts in it. So just to keep them in one place so you can like sort through them when you want something. So those are good. And then last but not least, I would say the big 12 by 12. It looks just like this, but in Iris, and it's 12 by 12. That can hold a lot of your papers. I have one here, but it's really heavy for me to show you. So that would be storage cases. You don't have to spend a lot, or you might even have like some people use fishing tackle boxes. You can check that section in Walmart too. Just something cheap. It doesn't have to be like, I would prefer to spend a little bit, to spend my money more on craft supplies than, you know, organizing it, with the exception of some things. Like some things you want them to be pretty. So then that would be my suggestion for that. Next is Cricut a necessary item? I'm going to flat out say no. Cricut is not a necessary item, but I love it. But for you, what I would say, if you're new, it's not a necessary item right now. I think that, like I tell everybody, it may be something that, like, I can't see how anyone would not like crafting. It's just like a relaxing thing if you had a stressful day, like just to sit there, you know, on your own. Like, I'm never really on my own. I got my kids up here with me, but just to sit there and just like, I don't know, it's just rewarding to, you know, make something on your own. That's just how I feel. But I'm sure there are some people who tried it and either just don't have the time, or like my little sister, I always try to get her into it because she's like, I'm close with all my sisters, but my youngest sister, we're really close, and I always try to talk her into it. And she's like, I can't. I get too mad I get so mad at myself if I'm trying to make something and it doesn't go the right way. She's like, I throw it. So, you know, those things can happen too. So it's just not for her, and I wish it was, because she would be like a fun buddy to hang out with. But none of my sisters are into crafts, so it's just me on my lonesome. So that's why I have you guys here and my crafty friends, so we can like bounce ideas off each other. But so my answer to, is a Cricut necessary? No. What I would say is that I would wait. I would see, like, you don't need all that stuff. Yes, they're great, and you can cut out things like here, and I'll show you more into this. Like, you can do die cuts, and you can really do some really cute things, and make it on your own just with some paper and your embellishments. But it's not necessary, especially not in the beginning. So I would say no, it's not a necessary item. But I do love mine, and I use it all the time for my kids' projects, for baby showers, bridal showers, banners, like stuff like that you want to cut out a lot of. I use it a lot. So number 3, is the Cut-A-Book better than the Cricut? I would say no. Neither of them are better than the other, but I love them both equally, and to me they have two different jobs. So the Cricut can cut things out. I just want to show you, like, you know, the die cuts, like that, they're going to be similar to what I show you too. So the Cricut can cut out larger items. It can cut out just the pieces, and then you assemble them and put them together. I can cut out things like that, like this is little baby shower favorite. It's like a little diaper with a little pretend treat in it. It can cut out things like this, you know, but it's not really necessary, I would say, for you for now. The Cuttlebug would be where I would go eventually, but even then you don't need that right now. So they do two different jobs. So the Cuttlebug does like embossing. So embossing is like this. I brought out some examples to show you. Here's a card I made like a long time ago. So this is the embossing back here. So I don't know if you can see the texture, and then I kind of inked it, but let's see if you can see it from the side. It's just like a textured, it'll push out the image on depending on what embossing folder you have. So that's one. Here's another little card I made, and can you see the quadrifoil like that? See there, you can see a little bit the texturing in the back. So that's what a Cuttlebug can do. That's called embossing, and then you would just need like, this is an embossing folder here. This one, so you can get different designs. So what it basically is, they call it a folder because it, you know, opens like that. And then say this was your paper that you wanted to emboss. See, so here's the other side of that. You can see it. So whatever side you want to emboss, you put your paper in there, you put this like this, and then they have little plates, and you run it through this machine, usually by hand. They have electric ones, but they're pretty fancy and expensive, but you don't need the electric ones. You could just wind it through with your hand, but like it's like magic when you run that through. So the Cuttlebug does things like this. It'll emboss, and it'll also cut dies. What you don't want, and you're going to find this, is, well, I mean, you can make your own decision, but I wouldn't recommend the Sizzix Texture Boutique. You'll find them a lot cheaper than Cuttlebug sometimes because they just emboss. So they'll only leave this impression where they won't cut out. And I'll show you some dies. I wonder where some are. Dies are little metal pieces that you run through too, the same way you would with your plates. And they would cut out pieces. Like so, like this is a die cut right here. This thing that says baby. This is a die too, so you run it through and it'll cut out these type of things for you. So it kind of does what a Cricut would do, but it's just you're doing it by hand. You're running it through, and you have to purchase the dies. Where like the Cricut is more digital, so you can buy the online images. And I don't want to get too in detail with like SVG files and all that, but you can, you know, get images where you used to have cartridges. Now you don't even need that. You can just buy per image online of things you'd like to cut out, where with the Cuttlebug you have to purchase the die. And that can be good because I use mine over and over, but some of them you wouldn't use so much, so you hate to, you know, invest in that if you're only going to use it once or twice. So that's what I've been trying to do now. Like if I'm going to buy something, I'll buy something that I know I'm going to use a lot of. So so your question was, you know, is the one better than the other? No, but they both have two different jobs. So if you were going to start with one, I would look for the Cuttlebug or the Big Shot. The Big Shot is, what is that? Who is that by? By Sizzix, I believe. Yeah. It's the same thing as the Cuttlebug. It's just one late, like the Cuttlebug folds up really small. So if you have less space, like if you don't have a designated crafting area, you might be better with a Cuttlebug because once you're done using it, the doors fold up, so it's a little slimmer. But it's basically the same idea. So if I was starting out, I would start with that before I would invest in, you know, because the Cricut machines or the Cameo machines. And you can watch a bunch of YouTube videos. They'll help you a lot too. There's so many things. That's how we all learn on there. And that will help you too on what, you know, you want to purchase. But I would hold off on a lot of things right now. Like I would just get a few basics, like maybe some like glitter glues, some like gel pens, some things that you can do little accents on, and then and kind of go from there. Also, you'll have to tell me, you know, if you want to email me, you can let me know what area you're from. If you happen to live near me in New Jersey, we'll have to have a craft day and get together. But I doubt it because nobody lives close to me. Nobody lives close to me. I'm in South Jersey, so there's like everybody lives so far away. And I'm like, oh, I wish you lived here because my sisters stink and they don't craft. So so we're mad at them. But it would be nice to have, you know, people local to you here. But right now my craft room is such a mess anyway. Maybe it's good because I would be ashamed of myself. So, so is a Cricut necessary? I said no. Is a Cuttlebug better than the Cricut? I think for you right now, if you had to choose one or the other, I would start with a Cuttlebug because you'll want both. If you really get into it, you will eventually want both. And I use both of mine equally as much. So, but for now, I would think the Cricut is a large investment. Like maybe if there's some, you know, some type of big event like your birthday, like that's how I get a lot of my things too. Like instead of like asking for clothes or things like that, and I'll say, oh, get me this new stamp I wanted, you know, whatever. And then you can accumulate things and build up your stash that way through, you know, birthdays and Christmas and whatnot. Because sometimes there's really nothing I need, and that, you know, there's always some crafty thing I like, so that helps too. And then, so that's the Cuddlebug and Cricut question. I love them both, but both of them, even right now, are not necessary for you. But if I was going to start somewhere, I would start with the Cricut and then, slowly get some dies. And then the next question is there a discounted place for scrapbooking supplies? There are. I will tell you this, scrapbooking is an expensive hobby. It can be. I like to, now anymore, before I knew this, I didn't do it, but there's definitely websites that are known to have cheaper prices, like scrapbook.com. Some of them have, like, where I can't stand paying shipping, so I like to go places that offer free shipping, or if you go through a certain amount. I like Simon Says Stamp, but they're not cheap. Like, to me, they just have a lot of things, and you might not be able to find, like, say I was looking for this Falling Heart stencil, only Simon Says Stamp will have it, so you're kind of stuck to get it there, if you really want it. But what I like to do, and if you're on Facebook, let me know, and we can talk, off the video, but if you want, I could add you to, there's a Facebook group, but you have to be added, and then the administrators there, they have to just approve you. They just make sure you're not like a scammer, or they try to keep the site, secure. So they'll approve you, and sometimes that can take up to a couple days. But you have to go, once you go on there and you get approved, and you just read the rules section, because they do have some rules and they're pretty strict on there. But you can buy and sell used crafting items. So if that doesn't bother you, that's where I would go. That's the route I would take, and I've done it plenty of times. And I don't care if a stamp is used, because you may even get into stamping too. So I don't mind if a stamp is used. You can use it over and over again, even if there's ink staining on it, and then pass it along after that. So for me, that doesn't bother me, and it wouldn't even make a difference. So I would go in there, because chances are when people resell their items that they may have used and they're just passing on, they're 9 times out of 10 cheaper than they would be through like the direct websites buying them new. So you can build up your stash that way, because people just get bored, like me. Like I get a stamp, and like, how many times can you use the same stamp? And I try, different ways, and then you just pass it along, and that's fine. Especially if you're eventually like destashing your items, so you don't just have a buildup of tons and tons of stuff. Because then you have the issue of trying to find it and knowing what you have. So if you would like, if you're on Facebook, but you just have to friend request me on Facebook, so that way I don't have to search through a million different Tamikas, but just friend request me on Facebook, and then I can add you to the group. And then, just like I said, make sure you read the rules, and then if you have a PayPal account, you can buy things through there. But it's kind of hard, especially if you're new to scrapyard. Like, you kind of have to get to the items quick and see them. Anytime you're sitting around, if you go on the website, and you have to kind of be the first one, because those gals on there, they'll snatch things up. Like, if there's a good deal, because there are a lot of good deals on dies, on stamps, just all things that people are destashing. Sometimes people buy things and it's not for them. Like, they don't like a certain type of coloring utensil, or they don't like a certain embossing folder. Sometimes they bought doubles on accident. You never know, and then you could benefit from that, where it's not as expensive as the store, and build up your stash that way. So that's what I would recommend, and look into that. And there's a bunch of different Facebook groups. Some of them are not, like, some of them I belong to, and they don't even move per se. Like, there's not a lot of postings on there, so you don't get to see a lot. And then there's ones that are a little bit more busy than the other ones. So I hope that a lot of this makes sense and it answered some of your questions. I tend to ramble on, as you can see. There's so many things to address and get through. So hopefully that gave you the basics of some things. And if you have any more questions, feel free to ask. And if anybody else is new that's watching this, just give it a try. I would start small though. I would just get just a couple little items, just to get your creative juices flowing, and go to the store, look around, and don't buy anything too expensive, because this may not be for you. It may not be something that you're going to continue to work on, and then they'll just be sitting there, and you made this investment. And then, so that's why I would say start small, see how you like it, see how your frustrations are. Like, if you're like my little sister claims to be, if she goes to do something that doesn't come out right. And believe me, that's happened to me many a times. You'd make something that doesn't come out, but I am good at masking my mistakes. Like, if I colored outside the lines, or if something ripped, just cover it up with something else, put something else on there. Nobody would know. There's ways of, sometimes you damage something beyond control. Like, I spilled my drink on something one time, so it was just a goner. But then one time it made it look better, and it looked like a distressed, because it was like a fall album. So you never know, you might even like your mistake better. you might like it better the way it came out. So I would say just start slow, try a few things out, and go from there. And then if it's something you like build a budget for yourself. Like, you know, just say, oh, I can't buy anything this week. You know, I have a little bit of money I'm going to put aside maybe for next week, and then I'll allow myself to, you know, spend $20 at the craft store or whatever, you know, your budget is, and just go from there and just go slow. See how you like it, test it out, and you may really love it, because that's how I was years ago. My husband's like, jokingly said to me, he's like, you're not going to sit there and do that. You're not going to scrapbook. And, you know, albums later, I have it down here, and now I have my own craft room. I just found something that I love. So hopefully that's the case for you too. And I'd be glad to answer any more of your questions if you have any in the future. So you can email me and let me know when you see this. Thanks. Bye.